Good morning. Happy Friday. We made it, you guys. We made it to the end of the week. I hope everyone is doing well. Good morning and good evening for my friends in Australia. I hope everybody is doing wonderful and fantastic on this Friday. We all made it. Excuse me. We should all be proud of ourselves. This has been a decidedly difficult week um, because of the. You guys are going to have to excuse me. Let me just start this out the right way. Okay. Let me just come clean. Okay. Your girl ended her live a little early last night because your girl was just worn completely out. Okay. And you know how when you're exhausted, how sometimes you're so tired you can't sleep? That was my situation last night. So after I ended the live, I was like, okay, I'm going to put on my PJs. I'm going to go to bed. Okay. Brush my teeth, all that good stuff. All right. So I do all the things and I climb into bed and I'm like laying there and my mind is like thinking of all the things I need to get done today. And my body was like, lady, you're tired and you need to go to sleep. But at the same time, my body was like, we're too tired to sleep. So it was a battle. So anyway, I ended up not even falling asleep till way time, like way past midnight, right? So I remember my alarm going off at 6 o'clock this morning. And I remember, I don't even know how I was able to unlock my phone and turn that shit off, to be quite frank with you. I only had one eye open and it wasn't even all the way open. And then, and then I fell back asleep until 8 o'clock. So I overslept. And then, I have to do all my routine in the morning. I got to wake up, yada, yada, yada. So, yeah, that is what happened this morning. So I'm a little bit behind and I'm like running to catch up. So I was late and I apologize for that. And, you know, this has been a tough week as far as court testimony goes, right? We've heard from the BCI and they put a different member or different special agent, I should say, in charge of each crime scene. Okay. So yesterday's crime scene coverage was crime scene number 3. And crime scene number 3 is Dana Roden's home. And in her home was uh, Hannah Mae Roden, 19, and Christopher Roden Jr., 16. And so we heard from the BCI agent yesterday, like I said, and he did not finish his testimony. So I would imagine that's who's going to be the first witness this morning. And then, true to form, they put on the BCI and then they follow up with the forensic pathologist who performed the autopsies in this case. So that's probably what we're going to hear this morning. So let me say good morning to you guys because I'm always grateful for your support. Good morning, Mrs. M. Good morning, Carrie. I don't want Sosha. I hope I said that right. If I didn't, I apologize. Good morning. Good morning, Corky. Good morning, Mo. Good morning, support with Steffa. Hello. If you haven't done so already while we're waiting for court to start, if you wouldn't mind giving your girl a thumbs up on the stream, I would greatly appreciate it. It helps me stay in the algorithm. It helps the interaction, and it also helps you guys get notification. I have heard that YouTube only, good morning in 5, 6, 7, 8, only gives out 2 notifications per 24 hours. And typically I go live twice a day, but I don't know how they do their 24 hours. Like Is it 12 a.m. to 12 a.m.? You know what I mean? Or is it a 12-hour or is it a 24-hour period based on when you actually go live? So I don't know how that works, but the thumbs up can't hurt. I would just appreciate it just because I would appreciate it. Um, so yeah, there's that. Now, also, I'm going to put you guys on hold while we wait for court to start just briefly, because to be quite honest, I rushed in here to start this live, and I don't quite honestly remember if I let the cats in, and Lord knows they cannot be left unsupervised in the backyard. Okay, so give me just 1 second, and I apologize. I'll be right back. I'm pretty sure I did, but I'm not 100. So let me just go look. I'll be right back. Okay, perfect. I did, in fact, let them in, and they're sitting in the dining room looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, Mom, you did let us in, remember? Obviously, I don't remember letting you in, or I wouldn't be running out here like a crazy person looking to check. Okay? Already. Been up for an hour and I'm already being judged. Isn't that the way with cats? Hold on, I want to just look at this really, really quickly about this, something about Twitter. Because, I like to keep on top of anything new, just in case if there's new. Also, if you missed yesterday morning, I forgot what I was going to tell you. Yes, Kate found her lizard baby. She sure did. She did. She did locate her baby. So if you missed yesterday, when court started, and they're late today, so I'm kind of curious about if there's more, if something else has been filed. So the defense filed a motion for mistrial yesterday based on the what they termed gruesome images being shown in court. The volume, I don't think they had an issue with them being shown. It was more like the volume, how many there were posted and or shown. Excuse me, I shouldn't say posted, shown, and that it was prejudicial to their client because essentially they are not contesting some of the facts of this case. For example, they're not contesting that the cause and manner of death was gunshot wounds and the manner would be homicide. They're not contesting that. They're not contesting that 3 weapons were used. And basically, they said that this trial is about their client being complicit, but not a principal. So the state then responded and said, well, actually, this the question of whether George Washington Wagner IV had acted as a principal, meaning that he physically unalived somebody, is contested. So I don't know if they intend to present some evidence, not only of George Wagner being at the crime scenes, but actually being a principal to murder. Okay, so that's because truthfully, under the Ohio statute, and this is true in most states, you don't actually have to be the principal to be charged the same way as a principal. So you just have to um, you have to just be there and not do anything to stop it, or even then further see, because you might could argue as a human being, look, I was here and they were unaliving these people, and I thought I could be next, right? And the minute you get a chance, you get free, you go and report. That might get you out of some of that, might get you might not get in trouble at that point, right? But the fact of the matter is, I don't even think that would get you out of it in this case, because there was so much planning that went into carrying this out. So the fact is, it wasn't a spur of the moment thing, right? Like, it wasn't one of those situations where um, there's, two people in the same place at the same time, and there's a confrontation and one person pulls out a weapon and unalives the other person or people, right? This isn't like that. This wasn't, in the heat of the moment. This took planning. And so in essence, the even if they had, like, George, it would be very difficult for George to argue, well, I didn't take them seriously, because you might could get away with that argument too if there hadn't been. So it's one thing for people to talk about doing something, right? It's another, okay, so that's one point. But then if those people who are talking about doing something then take steps towards doing something, for example, buying shoes for people to wear during the crime, right? Creating a document to purport that one of the at this point intended targets, Hannah Mae Roden, signed over custody of hers and Jake's daughter, Sophia, right? Um, and make it look as if it was done in 2014, when in all actuality, the document wasn't even created until 2016, right? That's very, very different. And to answer your question, Mo, okay, so when the BCI is talking about collecting the evidence, it's a little bit, I don't know a lot about guns, okay, as far as like being able to listen to them collecting the projectiles and understand, oh, okay, that goes to this type of gun, or that goes, you know what I'm saying? I know a little bit, but I don't know enough to actually speak confidently on that. And I think that also that the state right now is in the evidence collection phase, and what the results of any lab tests done were phase. So that's why they're talking about the crime scene and they put the BCI on, and then they talk about the victims' bodies and they put the um, forensic pathologist on the stand. I think what they're going to do is probably have a ballistics expert come and testify to the weapons, because I feel like at this point, if they had made it clear, I think we are capable of following along, even if we're not weapons experts, right? Or even close, or just have a little bit of an understanding of weapons, right? We would be able to pick up on that. And I don't think that they've really actually presented any evidence about. I mean, they've presented evidence, but they haven't, like, connected all of the dots, as it were. And so I think that they intend to do that using a different witness. And then I put forth my shoe theory yesterday. I did it yesterday morning, which was, I would prefer, if you missed it, not to listen to the one in the morning, because you can actually, I think, hear the steam coming out of my ears, and the hamster on the wheel, and all the cogs working to, like, it's real choppy, and you can tell I'm putting it together in my brain as it's coming out of my mouth. It's a much more polished in the live stream from last night, and okay. You have to be more specific. What did she touch that she wasn't wearing gloves for? See, I am of the opinion. I was bothered. I will say, not bothered. That's not the right word. My eyebrow was raised the other day when Special Agent Fortner testified. And he had one gloved hand and one ungloved hand. And he was in the middle of testimony, wasn't handling any evidence. But he adjusted. I think he had something in his eye. So with the ungloved hand, he touched his eye and wiped it. And then with the gloved hand, he touched his eyeglasses. And for whatever reason, it just raised an eyebrow because I don't know, anytime, obviously I'm not a crime scene investigator. Okay. But I have had occasions when I first got here to Florida, one of the things that I did was clean like Airbnbs on the beach, Clearwater Beach. And it's one thing to clean your own home and your own family's cooties, right? It's another thing to go into somebody else's, particularly an Airbnb, and clean strangers' cooties, right? So, oh, the sweatshirt. Okay. So, anyway, when I do that, I would wear gloves, particularly in the bathroom, obviously. And it's conscious in my brain why I put those gloves on. And so if I needed to touch anything else, especially my person, the gloves came off, the hands got washed, and then I did whatever I had to do. That's just the way I roll. So I kind of didn't understand. I kind of was like, ooh. No, Amelia, no. Billy Wagner is also, good morning, babe. Billy Wagner is next up. He is awaiting trial. There has not been a trial date scheduled as yet. There has been some preliminary hearings in his case, and I believe Law and Crime Network has those if you want to watch those. So, okay, the sweatshirt. So here's the deal with that. It's not a good idea, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Her DNA is likely in a database.
September 23rd,
and so
is another day of trial.
There you go. If they find if something is retested, let me just mute this or turn this down a little bit. If something of hers is something is touched by her, and some piece of evidence is retested and her DNA is found, it can be ruled out because it's likely in a database. So it's not the best thing in the world, but it's not the end of the world either.
Is the state ready to proceed today to have the jury brought up?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is the defense ready?
Yes.
All right, they're going to get started. Let me turn it up because yesterday we had a hard time hearing because your girl forgot. And the other thing that's interesting about that is when they do it. Like, what the heck? So if none of the DNA was like her DNA, right, or any of the crime scene texts that were there, not the text, but the lab texts, when they're processing the evidence, if none of their DNA turns up in the first round of testing, right, then you can pretty much safely assume that all the protocols were followed and in place, et cetera, right? If it's a situation like the sweatshirt, for example, needing to be retested, and they're going to go back and say she touched it at trial. You know what I'm saying? I think it depends on when. That's another thing. It depends on when the DNA comes out, right? So if they're doing the initial testing and you get a sample, you get a result that includes somebody at the crime lab, that's problematic. It means they weren't following proper protocols. But they do, I mean, there is a margin for the human factor in the handling of the evidence during the testing at the lab, because how many of us have been sitting somewhere, anywhere, whether it be at work or at home, and you have to sneeze and you try to hold it and it just comes out. I mean, you have to, I mean, they account for stuff like that. Obviously, it's not ideal. I'm trying to get this thing off and I don't know why it's doing this.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to see you back here today.
Stop.
You'll recall that yesterday we
There it goes.
adjourned, and at that time the state was conducting direct examination of Officer
Hey, good morning, Tony. Yeah, it was a lot.
Resume our hearing at the point that we left off yesterday. Is the state ready to begin today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is the defense ready?
Yes.
All right. Officer White, I've just reminded you that the oath that was administered yesterday is still in effect today.
Okay.
Thank you. You may go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
But Amelia, just to that point, to your question, did you hear in the opening statements from the state that did you hear anything that would lead you to believe that the state intended to put a weapon used during the commission of these crimes in George Washington Wagner IV's hands? That is my question to you, ma'am.
Please start here again. State's Exhibit C436. And this is just the
Why is she
diagram
quiet?
of 3122 Union Hill Road with the general evidence. Is your monitor on?
No.
Ouch. Thank you. Because I definitely yesterday morning in their response, they definitely implied that.
Good. Okay. I believe yesterday when we left off.
Good morning,
we
Jennifer.
were
Good to see
talking
you.
about the phone cord that you had collected from Chris Jr.'s bedroom, correct?
Yes.
And that was item number 9. And I believe we also indicated that that had ultimately been swabbed, and we entered into the stipulation already that actually had the DNA of Chris Roden Jr. I just to kind of close that loop. I'm going to hand you what's been marked as State Exhibit C427. If you can just go ahead and tell us what that is.
This is a envelope, vanilla envelope. It's got an evidence label on it. This is number 23. It's got my name on it, and it says swab from phone charging cord. It's also got a laboratory number on it.
Okay. And is that the swab from Chris Jr.'s phone cord?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Did you also sorry. Did you also collect a phone cord from Dana's bedroom?
Yes, it did.
State's Exhibit C316. 7957. Would you, sir? Oh, yes. Please no photos.
which says 7917.
Correct. No, 7957, 7957.
That's a photograph showing placard number 10, which is denoting the phone cord that was plugged in behind the mattress in bedroom number 2 or Dana Roden's bedroom.
And then C317, which is 7958.
That's again in the bedroom number 2 or Dana's bedroom.
Bless it. The
It's
numbers
item
were
number
too
10,
much for the
placard
closed
number 10 is
captioning
A close-up
already.
photograph showing the phone cord and the item number.
Handing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 414. Can you tell us what that is, please?
It's a brown paper bag that says evidence number 10, has an evidence label on it. It says it's a cord, a phone charger cord from bedroom number 2. It's got my name on it and my initials.
Okay. And then again, did you ultimately swap that phone cord as well?
Yes, I did.
And you, it's been marked as State's Exhibit C428. You can tell us what that is.
That's a manila envelope, again, with an evidence label on it that says evidence number 24, and it says blind swab from phone charging cord in bedroom 2. It's also got a laboratory label on it.
Okay. And that is the swab that you took from Dana's phone cord.
That's correct.
That is pictured in item number 10. Your Honor, again, I believe that the parties have a stipulation.
Please state that for the jury.
Thank you, Your Honor. That State's Exhibit C414 is the phone charging cord found in Dana Roden's bedroom. This item was identified as BCI item number 10. This item was swabbed for the purpose of DNA testing. That swab is marked as State's Exhibit C428, BCI number 24. The swab was sent to the lab for DNA testing, and there was not sufficient DNA in the swab for comparison.
It is not just you, Jennifer. She says a lot,
That's correct.
and it's
The
so
jury is instructed to
much
accept the
that now
stipulations
I
just given to be established
notice
as
how
fact
many
as fully
times
as
I
it
say
established
and
the
I try
evidence
really
in the
hard
court.
not to now. Like I make a conscious effort because
Then did
she
you
says it
also
a
collect,
lot.
as part of your work in this case, did you look for any evidence of shell casings or projectiles, et cetera, within the crime scene in the various bedrooms where the individuals were killed, and then also throughout the house?
Yes, we identified that all the victims had been shot. So we did an extensive search in the residence for casings, bullets, that type of thing. We were able to find one lead fragment that was in Dana's, on the bed where Dana was found. And that was also photographed and collected as evidence.
Okay. C311, which is 7952.
That's a photograph with placard number 8, and that is the fragment that was found once the pillow was removed from Dana's bed.
And C3112, 7953.
Amelia. It was a lot. It was a lot.
That's a close-up photograph of item number 8, which is the lead fragment that was laying on the bed in Dana's bedroom.
And once again, Lieutenant, I'm going to approach you with what's been marked as C412. If you can let us know what that is.
Small manila envelope. It's got an evidence label on it. It says evidence number 8. It says projectile metal fragment next to the victim's head, bedroom number 2. It's also got a laboratory number on it, and it's got my name on it.
Sorry. Yeah.
While we're just waiting, I had a thought. So, can you
And
imagine the
Lieutenant,
type
do
of
you
testing
know
and
when it's,
things that went
got a
awry
laboratory number on
when
it, do
the
you
gun
know
was
if that's
invented?
DNA or firearms?
I was
or
just
what,
thinking about that. The
yeah,
trial
that
and
I-
error process,
No,
can you
I don't.
imagine?
Either one piece of evidence can go to different divisions of the laboratory. So you could have a firearm piece of evidence, ballistic evidence, firearms evidence that goes to DNA and firearms, or latent print evidence that goes to DNA and latent print. So just by going by the number, I don't know exactly where it went.
Okay. And then, did you also collect the comforter from Hannah May's bedroom?
She's
Yes,
doing
I
a
did.
great job, Amelia.
C318, which is 7959.
Yeah. I'm just curious, like, I'm sure I could find the answer somewhere, but these are just things that I ponder while there's moments
That's
of
a
uncomfortable
photograph
silence.
showing placard number 11.
Who,
or
I wonder
evidence item number
how the
11.
idea
And
of
that
a
photograph
gun came about.
is an overview photograph, which is showing the black comforter that was recovered from Hannah's bed that night.
Okay. And handing you what's marked as C415. If you could go ahead and take a look at that and tell us what that is, please.
For any of you armchair psychologists, psychiatrists, there's a little
brown
insight into
paper
the way
bag
Jen
that
Lou's
has
brain
evidence
works.
label on it. It says
It's messy
evidence
up there. That's
number
why I tell
11.
people not to
It
try to
says
be up in my
blanket
brain because
comforter
it's
from
woo,
comforter from
a
bedroom
lot.
number 3, which is Hannah's bedroom. It's got my name on it.
So this also makes me think of something else. Back in the day when I helped transcribe Detective Brian Ridge's testimony from the West
Your
Memphis
Honor,
3
or
case,
I believe the
specifically
clerks
the
have a
Eccles
stipulation
Baldwin
regarding this
trial,
item as well.
all that
Please take
crinkling
it.
you hear,
That
my
the item
portion was him
contained in
handling
State's
the evidence,
Exhibit,
and that's all you could hear on the audio
C415, which is the
was
comforter
a
from
little
Hannah
talk, crinkle,
May's,
crinkle, crinkle, crinkle,
bedroom was
brings
not
back
submitted for
memories.
DNA testing.
Mr. Parker,
That's correct.
the jury is instructed to accept the stipulation.
That's a good point. That's probably what they did think.
To be established as fact as fully as if it had been established through evidence here in the courtroom.
And State's Exhibit C324, which is 7965.
That's a photograph showing evidence number 12, or item number 12. And that is also in Hannah's bedroom. I believe that's the pillow that was on her bed at the time.
And handing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit C416. Again, if you can look at this and tell us what it is.
It's a brown paper bag, and it's got an evidence label on it, and it says pillow found underneath victim's head, bedroom number 3, and it's got my name on it.
And again, Your Honor, I believe the parties have a stipulation as to this item.
Please state.
State's Exhibit C416, which is the pillow from Hannah Mae's bedroom, was also not submitted for DNA testing.
That's correct.
And the jury is instructed to accept the stipulation just given as established as fact, as fully as if it had been established through evidence here in the courtroom.
Professionally, no. Literally what it was us listening to the audio from the trial and typing it
Lieutenant,
out
again, I'm
word
gonna
for
take you
word,
back to
not
that,
with
door
a
that
professional
you,
court
had
reporter's little
taken photographs of
thingy
earlier,
that they use.
and then
No, no.
you went back at some point
No, this was us at
and
a,
put
at a
scales on it and took additional
computer
photographs.
doing it.
Do you recall doing that?
Yes.
Okay. State's Exhibit C267, which is 7907.
Yeah,
And can you tell us what we're looking at there?
the West Memphis 3 is
That's a
definitely a
photograph
rabbit
of the
hole.
door jamb from the front entry door.
I mean, come on, Tony. Have you ever
And
known me to be
It's a photograph that
like,
has
actually
scales in
professional?
it, and what I'm showing there is a couple of the defects that were found in the door.
Like in the history of ever?
Unknown when they occurred.
Okay. And then C268, which is 7908.
Can do it for, I could be a professional for about
Again, that's the
13
same door.
minutes
This is
tops.
a close-up photograph with a scale, and that's showing a defect or some sort of
Yeah, they probably never imagined when they got the
in the
call
door latch
that
there,
morning to
whether
come
it's,
out to these crime
some
scenes
sort of
what it
mark
would
that's
turn out to be.
disfigured the latching mechanism.
Okay.
This is the largest and most expensive investigation in Ohio's
And
entire
at some point,
history.
Lieutenant, you obviously are processing this scene, spending a lot of time
Thank
after
you,
you've
Tony.
photo documented everything.
I
then
try.
Going back and recovering or retrieving.
Try not to take myself
collecting
too
some of the evidence
seriously.
And where you're collecting that from. At some point, did a coroner or a coroner's assistant ever enter the scene to examine the three bodies?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have an idea of when that might have been, as in time of day?
It was in the evening time. I'm going to say around 8:20ish, 8:30ish in the evening on the 22nd.
Okay.
So that would mean that they were working that scene
And
at
by
that point
time,
for
you had
close to
collected
12
the various
hours.
items that we see here, as far as the comforter and the pillows and the phone cords and those sorts of things, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. The shoe prints and all that.
The shoe prints, yes.
And
I don't,
as part of when a coroner or the coroner's assistant, do you recall who that was?
I do not recall her name. It was a female
Okay.
doctor.
the cameraman
Okay.
is nosy,
Do
like
you know
we
the name,
are.
Dr. Fairnett, or
That sounds correct.
Camera person, I should say.
and
Camera person is nosy like
when a
we are,
coroner or the
zooming in
coroner's
on what
assistant,
the
enters
what was
the
on that
scene,
tray.
Do you assist in
It's about
helping them
that's
to
about like something
manipulate the body so that they can
I
more
would do.
closely examine it to see if there's other injuries that aren't visible from where you found them?
Yes, we will assist the coroner or the coroner's investigator, whoever comes to the scene. We will photograph for them, and they do an external examination. They'll point things out to us. We will document it, photograph
Oh, I'm
it,
sure your hair is
and
going to
see
turn
it
out
for ourselves.
fantastic, but I hope
And
I kind of want to
then
see it,
we
but I'm not
will
going to be
assist
pushy like
in
that.
Getting the body removed.
I
from
hope
the
you have
scene
a great day
with
too,
the
babe.
Coroner or coroner's investigator.
Okay. And did you do that in this case?
Ooh,
Yes,
that's
I
a
did.
good question. I know they were at the funerals.
And again, none of these photos. It pretty much goes for the rest of these. C328, which is 7969.
That's a photograph of Chris Roden Jr. As he was in his bed, and that photograph is showing that he was rolled over.
Yeah,
and we
19.
were
It wasn't dumb of
examining
you to say. Don't
with
say
the
that about yourself. You
coroner
never
the
say anything dumb.
front side or
Tony.
the torso
But yeah, I
side
was
of
16
his
in
body.
1993,
Object to this photograph.
17 in 1994, 18 in
And
1995.
Lieutenant, can you tell us the arms, the way they are situated?
I don't even think I heard about
Can you
this
tell
case
us if
until I
you
was
noticed or noted
18 or
rigor
19,
at that time?
like the
Yes,
latter part of
the-
my
it's
18th
part
year
of the
into my
decomposition
19th year.
process.
I think I
And
might have
it's
even been
basically the
19. It's
stiffening
hard
of
for
the
me.
muscles, and
It
the
seems
muscles
so
were
long
stiff at
ago.
that point.
Okay. And Lieutenant, can you tell us regarding rigor, what is your understanding of when that sets in?
It's an estimate at
Ooh,
best, but
violet eclipse.
once
I like
the
that.
cardiac function of the body stops,
I feel
then
like,
the
Jennifer, I feel like you're
decomposition
right.
phase starts.
And I think that's
Rigor
one
is
of the things
stiffening
that
of the
people were
muscles,
so like
and it can onset
icked
anywhere
out about,
from
you
8
know,
to
that
12
they would
hours. And then
roast out,
once
creeped
it
out about,
sets
that
in,
they would
it
show up like
releases,
that.
and then the body becomes pliable again.
Okay.
Ick.
And approximately, and I know there are lots of variables that factor into this, but approximately when does it release?
Objection, Judge.
I'm sorry,
Objection.
base.
He's not a medical expert.
Oh, okay.
That's true. I suppose he could state his experience in something, but he'd have to set a foundation for that. But
Thank you, Honor. Lieutenant, I believe you said that you processed upwards of 300 homicide scenes during your time with BCI, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And during that time, again, we just talked about how the coroner comes in and then you help manipulate the body, whereas previously you do not touch or move the body prior to the coroner entering the scenes, correct?
That is correct.
I was supposed
And
to
so at that
graduate in
time, prior to the coroner entering
1995.
the scene,
I
you did
elected to
not,
get my good enough
um,
diploma.
have
I regret that
necessarily noted
decision,
whether
too.
there was rigor or not.
No,
correct?
we do not manipulate a body.
I was ready
unless
to
we
be
have
an
permission
adult,
from, or the
and I
coroner or
shouldn't-
coroner's
I-
investigators on scene.
Should have realized
Okay.
it's a trap being an
And
adult.
during, again, your time processing those hundreds of homicide scenes, were there times where you would note that there was rigor present and times when it was not present?
That's correct.
Okay, so various stages of what you refer to as decomposition when you arrive at a homicide scene.
That's correct.
And based on that, well,
It
do
feels
you
like the
also have
90s just
training
happened,
in
Corky.
the decomposition that the human body experiences after it has been.
And they're trying to bring them back. Have y'all
After it dies.
seen the
Yes.
new clothes at the Target?
And based
done
on
brought
your
back
knowledge, training, and
bootleg
experience, do you
Jenkos
have an opinion
And baby doll
as
dresses.
to when the stage of
Like
rigor passes?
Baby doll
Okay.
dresses we would have worn in, you know,
I'm going to
the early to
sustain the
mid
objection.
90s.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I'm going to sustain the objection, asking for an opinion. I think that's a medical issue. I'm going to sustain the objection.
So don't be asking them about that, ma'am.
Regardless, Lieutenant, you noted rigor in Christopher.
Yes,
Reagan's
Amelia, they
That's
done
correct.
brought back the baby doll dresses and some bootleg Jenko
C334,
jeans over there at the
which is
Target.
7975.
Target. For y'all who ain't fancy like me.
That's a photograph.
So does my
of
daughter, and
the
she's like,
body
Mom, you have
bag that
anything back
Christopher
from
Roden
that
Jr. was
time?
placed in, and it's
Girl.
identified by the
was
name and date of birth.
Four
of the-
score,
of the
7 years,
decedent
and
in
4
the bag.
kiddos ago. Come on now.
And date of birth is 11/4 of 91.
I
That's
had the
correct.
Rachel, Jennifer, yep, showed me.
And when did you help place the body in the body bag?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And again, do you try to place it in the bag as you found it?
Yes.
I have a picture of me from then. I'll let me send it over to my Facebook drive. and I'll or to my Google Drive because they can't talk, and I'll hold on. I'll
And did the coroner
show you
And
guys.
you also do the same for Dana?
Yes, we did.
C338, which is 7980. And can you tell us what we're looking at there?
That is a photo. That's a photograph of Dana Roden in her bed. She's been rolled over to where it exposes her back so we could examine the backside of the body.
Okay. And did you also notice rigor in Dana as well?
That's correct.
Okay. And was she then also placed in a bag similar to what little Chris had?
Yes, she was placed in a body bag.
C343, which is 7985.
That's a photograph of the body bag with the name on it and the date of birth, 8/29/1978, with the name Dana Roden.
And did you also do the same process with Hannah Mae's body?
Yes, we did.
C344, which is 7986.
Hmm.
That's a photograph showing the backside of Hannah Roden, and after she'd been rolled in her bed by myself in the corner.
Okay, and did you also note rigor mortis in Hannah Mae Roden's body?
That's correct.
And also, do you note the pooling of blood or liver mortis as well?
Yes.
Okay. Did you also note an additional injury that you had not noticed prior to her being moved?
That's correct.
Okay. C345, which is 7987.
That's a
Oh, I
photograph
like tropical
showing
burst, Tony.
The left side of the back of Hannah Roden's head. That's an injury. It appeared to be a gunshot wound, and we did
That's
not
what I use. I
see
drink
that
tropical
until
burst.
move the body.
I do like peach mango.
And
The
then
cherry is good.
C348, which is 7990.
Strawberry watermelon is good. I like that.
And-
But I use I take the 5-hour energy extra
And
strength.
again, what is
I started
happening
out
here?
using just regular
That's,
5-hour energy,
again,
but over
we had
time.
manipulated or rolled her body again to document the on the right side and also the right arm.
Okay. And again, that arm shows signs of rigor mortis,
That's
correct? And then I believe we saw the pooling of blood along that side, indicating that her body had been laying in that position for some
That's
time.
correct. That was the purple area that we saw in the photograph.
And was Hannah Mae also placed in a bag similar to the others?
Yes, she was.
I don't like the strawberry banana because I object to. I like bananas, but I don't like the imitation banana flavor.
That's a
So I don't care
photograph
for
of
that
the
one.
body bag that Hannah Roden was placed in. Has her date of birth is 4/7/1997 written on the bag.
All right, give me just a sec. Show you guys this. What the hell?
Before the body of Dana was removed from that scene, and prior to manipulating her and assisting the coroner, did you also mark an area for blood collection?
Yes.
Okay. C235, which is 7976. And can you tell us what we're looking at there?
That's the body of Dana Roden. She's still laying in bed. That's a placard B. And you'll notice on the left leg about the thigh area, there's a reddish stain, which is appeared to be a blood stain. So that's what that placard is denoting. And then a sample of that blood stain was collected.
Okay. And then C336, 7977.
And again, that's the same area, just a close-up photograph of that blood stain.
My
on the left
sister
thigh.
is really
And
sensitive
then
to
C337,
the-
which is 7979.
ingredients in the 5-hour energy. It makes her heart jittery too. It's the combination
That's
of the
a
B12,
macro or
the
extremely
caffeine, and
close-up
the
shot
niacin,
of
which
her
niacin's a
photograph
fat
of
burner. So
the blood stain. It's just documenting what the area, the size, and also what the stain looks like. Circular, was it oblong? That's what the purpose of the close-up photograph is. In this particular stain, blood stain was circular, and it was passive in nature, which means it was just deposited there some way, shape, or form.
Okay. And what, Lieutenant, if you can help us understand, obviously we've seen the photos now. There's a large amount of blood in that bed where Dana was found, correct?
That's correct.
And even blood on her body.
Yes.
Why did you focus your attention on this particular area of blood?
Well, it didn't seem, from looking at her body positioning, and there were no defensive marks or anything on that we could tell on her body, that she wasn't in a position herself to deposit this on her leg. It could have been dropped from another source.
Okay.
Oh.
What you would call a cast off?
More like a drip from a blood source.
Okay.
oh, that's interesting.
And
How did that
you-
get there then?
Is that- Did you, in fact, swab that area to submit for testing?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, straight niacin. One time I took,
Any what's been marked as States Exhibit C424.
I didn't know I was taking niacin because it was
This
in
is a manila
a
envelope
Tylenol bottle.
that says evidence
and
number 20. It
I
says
wasn't-
blood sample.
I had a headache, so I was thinking I'm taking
two
Tylenol. I
swabs
took it from
left leg,
at my mother-in-law's
passive blood
house,
stain.
right?
Bedroom
And
number
had I
2,
looked
and it's
closer at
got
the
my
bottle, I
name
would
on
have
it,
seen that she
and it's sealed.
indicated it was no longer
also got a
Tylenol, but I
laboratory
was just
number
in a
on it.
hurry.
Up in the
And
top.
Okay. And is that in fact the
After
swab that you took of
I
Dana
took
Roden's
it,
leg?
and all of a
correct.
sudden,
Mark's
you know,
area.
you get
Yes,
that.
that's
They call it the
Your Honor, I
niacin
believe the
flush
parties
because
have
you
a
get really
stipulation as to
hot.
this.
Hi,
Thank you, State
nonstop
Police.
mom.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I was scared about
States
it.
Exhibit
And then when I realized what I had,
424 is the
when I went
swab
back
of
to look
suspected
at the
blood from Dana
Tylenol bottle,
Roden's
then I
left leg,
realized, and I calmed
identified as BCI
down,
item
because I was
number
like,
20.
hell.
This swab was
I
sent to
need
the lab for
Tylenol.
DNA testing. The swab tested positive for the presence of blood and contained Dana Roden's DNA.
Mr. Parker,
That's correct, Judge.
the jury is instructed to accept that stipulation just given to be established as fact as fully as if it had been established through evidence here in the courtroom.
So I downloaded that picture. I wanted of I think I'm 15 in this picture,
And
but I don't want to put it
Lieutenant, did you
on
also,
while
you
we're-
previously had testified
while
that you
this
marked
kind of
an area
testimony
in
is going on.
Christopher
So,
Roden's,
but I'll show it to you guys.
bedroom as area number A, and I believe that was
Just
on the floor to the
feels wrong.
facing the bed, at the foot of the bed, to the left of the bed, between the bed and the closet.
That's correct.
Okay, and just C9 or 294, which is 7935.
That's the photograph of Area A from Chris Roden Jr.'s bedroom. That's the blood stain that was found on the floor close to the wall in between the bed and the closet.
I don't even notice
And
the
did you ultimately
niacin
swab
flush
that area as well?
Yes, I
or
did.
rush or whatever they call it anymore, because
Handy,
to
what's
be
been
quite
marked as
honest
State's
with you, it's hard to,
Exhibit
to
C423.
differentiate that and the onset of a
This is where
dadgum
it's
hot
at.
flash. Yeah, that's in the fine print they don't talk to you
This
about.
is a
Mhm.
manila envelope. And
As you get
it's got an
older.
evidence label on
It's
it.
not 5-hour
marked
energy
evidence number
related.
19. It says blood sample, 2 swabs from floor of bedroom number 1, which is Area A. And it's got my name on it, and it's sealed. It's also got a laboratory sticker on it up on top.
Okay. And
Oh, wait
does
till
that in
y'all
fact
see
the
this
swab that you
picture.
collected from that Area A in Christopher Roden Jr.'s bedroom?
Yes.
Your Honor, again, we have a stipulation, I believe.
So I'm going to
Stipulation.
remove
Um,
this from the stream because I don't want to put it, I'll add it back. All right. Are y'all ready? All right. Brace yourselves. There she is. That is Jen Lu circa, I think 92. Who knows why I'm making that face? What I'm so angry about. But yeah, there you go. Wearing my Mary Janes and my 18 sizes too big jeans. Crazy. Yeah, just general disdain for nothing. Like I had nothing. Just mad. Just mad. All right. I'm going to take this off and add this back to the stream because
And
that's what we're
names
supposed to
were
be doing.
removed. Did
Keep
you
it on
also collect,
task. But there you go. There's your girl.
additional bedding from their
I
beds?
think I have another
Yes.
one also where I'm very, I think this is like this is the following year. Let me look. That one, this next one is in color. So you can really see the disdain. It's a better
That's a
picture because it's
photograph of
closer.
placard number 13, and that placard is denoting the sheet that was found on Christopher Roden Jr.'s bed.
Okay. Handing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit C417. If you could tell us what that is, please.
This is a paper bag that has an evidence label on the front that says 1 sheet, and it's from bedroom 1. It's got my name on it, and it's also got my initials on it.
And Your Honor, I believe we have a stipulation as to this item specifically that State's Exhibit C417, this sheet from Christopher Roden Jr.'s bed, was not submitted to the lab for DNA testing.
Does that have an item number too also?
Yes.
Item number.
Oh, she switched it up.
Yes.
From
Parker, is that the stipulation?
Yes.
The jury is instructed to accept that stipulation just given to be established as fact as fully as if it had been established through evidence in the courtroom.
And State's Exhibit C 354, which is 7996. Again, no photograph. And can you tell us what we are looking at there?
That's an overall photograph of Christopher Roden Jr.'s bed, and that's showing the blood stain that was on the mattress once the sheet was removed.
Did you also collect a bed sheet from Dana Roden's bedroom?
Yes, I did.
States Exhibit 356, which is 7998.
That's a photograph.
I do
showing
remember
placard number
those,
14 or item
but my
number
dad was
14 is what the
a long
number
time
represents.
deadhead,
And that's
and I had his T-shirts to wear.
showing the sheet that was on the bed.
I
that
was
Dana
always a
Roden
fan of the dancing
was
teddy
removed
bears from the Grateful Dead. That's
And
the
that would
I
be
liked
item
those.
14.
Item
correct?
number 14, yes.
All right, hang on. Now brace yourselves because
And
this
you was
is
marked as States Exhibit C418.
classic
If you could go ahead
Jen
and
Lou.
look at that and tell us what that is.
This is a brown paper bag, and it has an evidence label on it on the front. It says one sheet, and the location's from bedroom 2. It's got my name on it, and that's it.
And Your Honor, once again, I believe we have a stipulation regarding this item, specifically that States Exhibit C418, item number 14, was not, being this sheet from Dana Roden's bed, was not submitted to the lab for DNA testing.
Mr. Parker.
That's correct, Judge.
The jury is instructed to accept the stipulation just given to be established as fact as fully as if it had been established through evidence in the courtroom.
Okay. And finally, Lieutenant, did you also collect the bed sheet that was underneath the body of Hannah Mae Roden as well?
Yes, I did.
C358, which is 8,000.
That's a photograph, an overview photograph showing the bed from bedroom number 3, where with the body of Hannah removed. And that's placard number 15, which is representing item number 15, which is the white sheet there.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. I don't know if I was the
Yes, it was.
And then obviously
the
marked
shit, but
Yes.
Henny was.
I thought I
marked as
probably
Exhibit
thought I was back then. I don't even
C419.
remember. Honestly, that
You can tell us
time
what
I
you're
remember
looking
some
at.
stuff more than
This
others.
is a brown paper bag that has an evidence label on the front.
All right,
The
hold on a
evidence label
second.
reads,
Let me show you guys. There you go. Oh, it's my sophomore year in high school. Just mad. Oh, yeah, Tony. So there you guys go. Oh, thank you guys. Okay, hold on. I want to remove this so I can address Nonstop Mom's question.
You would expect to find the victim's DNA on a bed sheet that they are sleeping on. So that's the reason why they weren't given top priority.
And obviously, those were items that were underneath the bodies of each
That's
of the
correct.
individuals.
And we knew that the bodies touched those items, so we would expect their DNA to be there.
And other than the area A, where you've collected blood from the floor of Christopher Roden Jr.'s bedroom, Did you observe any other blood in that residence?
I never could
throughout that
get
would
down
indicate
with the
anybody
new
else
kids
was
on the
bleeding?
block. I was
No,
more
there
of
was no
a
other areas identified.
Cure
of any
girl.
other blood anywhere throughout the house.
And Lieutenant, did you
I still am
do a vacuuming
A cure girl.
of the victims' bodies or the areas where they were found for evidence purposes?
Yeah.
well, I think
One
they
of the
just
collection techniques
guys,
that we can
it's-
use is called a
there's a
forensic
20-second
vacuum.
delay
What a
between what
forensic
I hear
vacuum
and what you guys,
is-
what I hear and
is
say and what
a
you guys
vacuum, but
hear.
it has
So you're about to hear
filters
the
that will collect and
the
trap
prosecution
any type of trace
ask why
evidence,
they didn't
meaning
do it and then
hairs,
give his
fibers,
explanation, because that's what I was
any of
about to
that
say
stuff. So
when I
we
was going to
did
answer
use
nonstop
that
mom, but
on
then
each
she already
bed
asked and he was
surrounding
answering.
each victim.
All right, give me just a
So
second. I
went
will
in
be right
and
back, but
these
I'll be in
filters
chat.
are not your traditional vacuum filter. They are sterile. And
I was in love with Robert
they are
Smith.
vacuum sealed, so they're clean when you get them out, and you change the filter each time you use the machine. So each victim got a new filter each time. And then those filters are then collected as evidence, and they can be submitted to the laboratory for further examination.
And obviously, there's no photos of that process, correct?
No, there are not.
Okay. And that was done prior to the removal of the bodies, correct?
That was done that was done very early on in the process as to not contaminate anything, us contaminate anything. So yes, it was done before any manipulation of the bodies, before any bedding was removed. That's when it was conducted.
Okay. Handy, what's been marked as C420. If you can go ahead and look at that and tell us what that is.
This is a brown paper bag, and it has an evidence label on the front that says vacuum filter from bedding, bedroom number 1. And it is got my name on it, and also it has my initials on it.
Okay, and again, bedroom number 1 was Christopher.
Chris Roden Jr.'s bedroom.
Okay, and is there any markings from the lab on there?
There are not.
And you, what's been marked as State's Exhibit C421. You could look at that as well.
Sure. This is a brown paper bag that says has an evidence label on it, marked evidence number 17, and it's described as a vacuum filter from bedding, bedroom number 2. It has my name on it and also my initials.
Okay, and again, bedroom number 2 was Dana Roden's.
Dana Roden's bedroom, that's correct.
Okay. And C422.
This again is a brown paper bag, and it says vacuum filter from bedding. It's marked as evidence number 18. It has my name on it, and it also has my initials.
Okay, and bedroom number 3 was Hannah Mae Roden's, correct?
That's correct.
And again, and it appears that none of those items were submitted to the lab. Is that correct?
That is correct.
In addition to those 2 areas, the A and B areas that you collected blood swabs from, did you also do blind swabs within the residence at 3122?
Yes.
Okay, I'll just have them explain it. did you collect blind swabs from both the interior and exterior, the handles on the door?
Yes.
I'm going to hand you State's Exhibit C-425.
That's a manila envelope that says, has an evidence label on it. It says evidence number 21, and it's a blind swab from interior and exterior door handle. And that's on the front screen door.
Okay.
And has my initials on it, and it also has a laboratory sticker.
Okay. And it is BC item number 21.
That is correct.
Okay. And that's the front, the very front, the entry
The
doorway,
entry,
correct?
front entry door, yes.
Okay.
The screen door.
Your Honor, I believe we have a stipulation as to this item.
All right, please state it.
The State's Exhibit C-425 is a blind swab of the front screen door of 3122 Union Hill Road. This item is identified by BCI item number 21 and lab number 9. This item was sent to the lab for DNA testing. This item contained a complex mixture of DNA that was not suitable for comparison purposes.
Mr. Parker.
That's correct.
The jury is instructed to accept the stipulation just given to be established as fact as fully as if it had been established through evidence here in the courtroom.
And did you also swab the interior and exterior door handles of that big, again, kind of purplish door?
Yes,
That we saw? Okay, and again, that's the entry door.
that's the entry door on the front.
Okay. Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 426. If you could look at that and tell us what that is.
That's a manila envelope. It's got an evidence label that says blind swab from interior and exterior door handle entry of the entry door. It's got my name on it. It's also got my initials, and it's also got an laboratory evidence sticker.
Okay. And Your Honor, I believe we also have a stipulation as to this item.
All right, state the stipulation.
State's Exhibit 426 is a blind swab of the front door handle. This item is identified by BCI item number 22 and lab number 10. This swab contained a complex mixture of DNA that was not suitable for comparison purposes.
Mr. Parker.
That's correct.
The jury is instructed to accept the stipulation just given to be established as fact as fully as if it had been established through evidence here in the court.
And Lieutenant, did you also do a blind swab of the interior door handle of Christopher Roden Jr.'s bedroom?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And just, I guess I should have you explain this. What is a blind swab?
Blind swab is a method of collecting potential touch DNA. So anytime you touch something, you have the potential of leaving behind skin cells, and those skin cells are collected. There's a potential that you can get a DNA profile from them. So a blind swab is simply a cotton swab, and it's moistened or dampened with either a distilled water or a solution called SEB, which is called stain extraction buffer. And that is a chemical that they use in the laboratory during the DNA process. And we can use that out in the field as a substitute for distilled water in order to dampen the tip of the swab. And then you take the swab, the dampened portion, and you swab what it is, the item that you want to try to collect those skin cells off of.
Okay. Hand you what's been marked as C-431. If you could look at that and tell us what that is, please.
That's a manila envelope with an evidence label on the front that says evidence number 27, blind swab from interior bedroom door handle, bedroom number 1, which is Chris Roden Jr.'s bedroom. And it also has my name on it and a laboratory sticker.
Your Honor, again, I believe we have a stipulation as to this item.
State it, please.
State's Exhibit C431 is a blind swab from the interior door handle of Christopher Roden Jr.'s bedroom located at 3122 Union Hill Road. This item is identified as BCI item number 27, lab number 11. This item was sent to the lab for DNA testing. This swab contained a mixture of DNA that lacked sufficient DNA data for comparison purposes.
Mr. Parker.
That's correct.
The jury is instructed to accept the stipulations just given to be established as fact, as fully as if it had been established through evidence here in the courtroom.
And finally, did you also do a blind swab from the door handle of Dana Roden's bedroom?
That's correct.
Oh boy, I don't even know what to, I mean, I'm
What has been marked as
Yikes.
Exhibit C432?
just yikes. Oh,
That is a manila envelope and it has an evidence label. It says evidence number 28, blind swab from interior bedroom door handle, bedroom number 2, which is Dana Roden's bedroom. It has a laboratory sticker on it and it also has my name on it.
And Your Honor, I do believe we also have a stipulation in regards to this item.
All right, please state the stipulation.
State's Exhibit C432 is a blind swab from the door handle of Dana Roden's bedroom located at 3122 Union Hill Road. This item is identified as BCI item number 28, lab number 12. This swab was sent to the lab for DNA testing. This swab contained a mixture of DNA that lacked sufficient DNA data for comparison purposes.
aw, that's cute, Tony. So
Parker.
sweet.
That's correct.
The jury is instructed to accept the stipulation just given to be established as fact, as fully as if it had been established through evidence here in the courtroom.
The jury is also instructed that they should have been taking notes this whole
Okay,
time, but
Lieutenant,
I
I'm gonna
suppose
ask
better
you to
late than
reference
never.
This diagram that is up there, I believe it's 436.
Bless it.
Yes. And that, again, you testified
They
previously.
did.
that,
Amelia, they
While those
did.
diagrams are not to scale, they do give you a.
They
a
did
fairly
ask for
good,
notepads.
Information about the layout of that residence, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And that one is marked as general evidence. And so can you just walk us through the items that you collected and where they were located in those various?
I
Yeah,
have a current
the-
picture of me, but I don't really like
Obviously,
it
number
because
1
my
was
son took
outside,
it.
Number
Hold
2
on,
was
let me turn
outside.
this
Those
down
were
so
the
I'm not
cigarette
yelling
butts
over
leading
him.
up to the front porch. Number 3.
I have a current
was the
picture
$5
of
bill
me,
in the
but I don't
back
really
there.
like it because my son
And
took
then
it because I was
inside
showing the
was
ward
number
girls.
4
I
was
had
here at the bed
ordered some
of,
stuff from Old Navy and I was
Chris
showing
Roden
them.
Jr.'s
And
bedroom. Number 5
so I asked my son to take my picture
was
and I was like,
blanket
Bubs, can you not
from, bedroom number 2 of
hold
Dana
the
Roden.
phone and help me a little bit, like work my
Number
angles?
6
And
was
this is
the
what his
pillow
response
that was on
was.
the bed
Literally,
of Dana Roden's
Mom,
bed.
you look
Number
how you
7
look.
was a pillow that was on the bed
That was his
of Dana
answer.
Roden's bed in the bedroom. Number 8 was the phone.
Oh,
phone
thank you,
charger
Amelia.
cord
So
from
I'll
Chris-
show it to you guys, but just understand
That's actually-
it's
probably
what
not
it
gonna
is.
show up. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's probably not going to show up there. Go ahead. I'm
Give
sorry.
me just a second and I'll show you guys.
Number 9 was the phone charging cord from Chris Roden Jr.'s room that was plugged in there. Number 10 is the phone charging cord from Dana Roden's bedroom, and it was right there at the bed. Number 11 was the blanket from bedroom number 3, or Hannah's bedroom, the bed there. Number 12 was the pillow that was on Hannah's bed at bedroom number 3. Number 13 was the sheet. Number 14 was this sheet from bedroom number 2, which is Dana's bedroom, that sheet that was taken off of her bed. Number 15 was the sheet that was taken off of bedroom number 3, which was Hannah's bedroom. And the filters, the trace vacuum, from Chris's bed, from Dana's bed, and from Hannah's bed. And then the shoe prints, the gel-lifts of the shoe prints were taken from right here, the entryway, in the door as you walked in the house.
Look, y'all, I tried to explain to him
And
the
does that,
importance of
represent all of
angles.
the items of the general evidence,
And
meaning
he was like-
non-blood or the blind swabs and not ballistic.
not
That is
caring,
correct.
to be quite frank. So it is what it is. It's a straight on picture. It's not my best angle. It's not even my best look. But it is there's no filters.
Again,
I'm not wearing makeup.
Obviously
My
not
hair is in a
stealing,
bun.
not
I'm just out of the
exact,
shower.
but,
It is what
that
it is.
generally, fairly accurately depicts the evidence.
But I'll show you.
From the evidence that you collected that day.
Yes, it does.
Going to place up here State's Exhibit C 435. Again, a diagram of 3122 Union Hill Road. And there are both blue circles there and there are red circles. If you can tell us what the red circles represent and then what the blue circles represent.
The red circles represent the blood or actual blood, and then the blue circles represent the blind swabs for the touch DNA. So starting in Chris Jr.'s bedroom, we have that area A, which was beside the bed, which was item number 19, the swabs of that. And then we have also in Chris Roden Jr.'s
I mean, you're right,
bedroom,
Mo. I'm
we have the blind
45. I
swab,
look
which
how I
was on
look.
the
It is what
phone
it
cord.
is.
We also have the blind swab from the door
not-
handle of the bedroom door.
Hold on. Let me turn this
And
down.
as we're walking out into the living room,
It's not
we
even
have
the
blind
filters
swab
for
from
me.
the entry door.
It's more
and-
the angle.
And the screen door. Walking through.
So,
to
it is what
Dana's
it is.
room, we have the blood stain that was collected from her left thigh. We have, again, a swab of the phone cord that was in her bedroom. And we also have a swab of the door handle that was the door that led into her bedroom.
Okay. And we talked about the projectile that you recovered from the bed of Dana Roden, correct?
That's correct.
And that was just a
Fragment,
fragment.
lead fragment.
Okay. And did you find any other projectiles or shell casings in the bedroom of Dana Roden?
No,
Did you find any projectiles or fragments or shell casings, sometimes also called cartridge casings, in the bedroom of Christopher Roden Jr.?
no,
And did you find any of those items in any other areas of that residence, leaving out Hannah Mae Roden's bedroom at this time?
no.
Did you look for
All right.
those
Give me
items?
just a second.
Extensively.
Hold
Okay,
on.
and
I want
tell
to hear
us why.
this.
As we established early on, the victims were shot. So evidence from a shooting incident could be bullets, it could be fragments, it could be spent cartridge cases, it could be just a variety of different things that can be
Sorry, I didn't
produced
mean to
during a shooting
Clear
event,
my throat into the mic. That was rude.
which we didn't find in the first 2 bedrooms at all. So that let us, except for that little fragment that we found there in on Dana's bed. So as a crime scene investigator, you ask yourself, how can this happen? There's several explanations as to why we're not finding what we would expect to find. And that's important, because then you try to figure out why you're not finding what you would expect to find at a scene like that. And there's several different explanations. Sometimes people pick up their spent casings. Sometimes sometimes casings don't get ejected, like if you use a revolver or something. That could be an explanation. Sometimes they have apparatus that can catch expended shells or spent casing. That's an option. So there's a bunch of different things going through your head when you don't find the things that you expect to find.
Okay. And especially given the fact that you were able to detect multiple gunshot wounds on these individuals, correct?
That is correct. We knew we weren't dealing with just 2 shots or 3 shots. We knew we were dealing with multiple shots, which heightens that sense even further that we should be finding casings and we should be finding other items of ballistic evidence.
That's interesting.
Okay. And did you also search Hannah Roden's bedroom for any projectiles or fragments or shell casings?
Yes, we did.
And did you ever locate a shell casing in that bedroom?
We found 1 shell casing, 1 cartridge case in Hannah's room, and it was located under the crib. You see in the diagram, the crib's there beside the bed, and that's where the cartridge case was at.
Okay. C382, which is 8025.
That's a photograph of the crib in Hannah Roden's bedroom. And what this photo is showing is the bottom portion of that crib. And we can see in the photograph the spent or the cartridge case that's laying on the floor right in this area here. And that's more of an overall type photograph, not very close.
So would that be indicative of the
And just
shooter
for the,
standing near?
ladies
the
and gentlemen of the
crib?
jury, what is a shell casing or a cartridge casing?
When ammunition is made up of the casing and the bullet, when that bullet is expelled from the casing, you're left with the casing. The bullet's not part of it. The powder's not part of it. And you're just left with the casing. And the casing can it's generally ejected from a semi-automatic weapon, or it can be maintained in the chamber for a revolver. It's what's left after the bullet's already been expended.
C83, which is 8026.
Wow. That's messed up.
And
I
that's
mean,
a
this
more
whole thing is
close-up.
messed up. This is
We're
extra messed
taking
up.
this photograph. I'm taking this photograph through the slats of the crib, and I'm showing a more close-up of that cartridge case that's laying there on the carpet.
Okay. And did you ultimately mark that with one of your placards and collect it as evidence?
Yes, I did.
C385, which is 8028.
So that photograph is showing us that underneath the crib, that's item number 26, and that placard represents that cartridge case as evidence item number 26.
And State's Exhibit C386, which is 8029.
And that's a close-up of that cartridge case with the placard there. All that's showing is the placard next to the item, and it's item number 26.
State's Exhibit C388, which is 8031.
That's after the item, the cartridge case has been removed from the carpet. And it's common practice for us to take a picture of the head stamp. And the head stamp is just what you see there with the writing on it. And each ammunition, it varies between ammunition manufacturers, but most will have a caliber and a manufacturer name on that head stamp. This one just has the manufacturer of Remington, REM, and that's what I'm documenting there.
Wow.
And you indicated that you did in fact collect that as item number 26.
Yes, I
correct?
did.
Yes,
Handing you what's being-
Jennifer, this
has
is
been marked as State's Exhibit C.
the
14.
lengths.
Yes.
I
If you
just-
could look at that, box.
It is Criminal Minds level. You're right.
This is a cardboard box that is marked as evidence number 26, and it is a fired cartridge case. It's a Remington, what we describe as a rim fire, and it's from bedroom number 3, and it's got my name on it and my initials.
And thinking about
It
it,
also has a
let me turn
laboratory
this down
number
a little so I
up
don't
on the
scream over
side there.
his testimony. Thinking about it,
Okay.
and how human
Lieutenant, I'm
beings
gonna ask you to
are
go ahead
and
open that
the
up
way
if
they
you
behave,
can.
sometimes are capable of behaving. It is entirely possible and probable that that custody was the motive. Custody cases, you can evoke emotional responses, anger being one of them, fear, etc. So it is possible and probable and maybe and likely that this entire crime, the motive was custody. That now that I think about it, but I also sort of I still wonder, obviously, it's not necessary usually for the state to prove motive, but it's always interesting when they do speak about what the motive is. All right, let me turn him back up because I always forget this part.
My apologies, Lieutenant. Have you been able to retrieve that item from that box?
Yes.
And if you could just go ahead and walk in front of the jury and show them that item, please.
Yes. Are there objections to
No.
this? All right.
I object to him not having gloves on, but I just think that you should just wear gloves just 'cause you're handling evidence. I don't know. I don't know what the rules are, but it just seems like common sense that you would want to.
Lieutenant, can you also turn it so
I
they
know it's a
can see the head
casing and
stamp
it's
on
not the
that,
actual,
and make sure that all of our jurors
obviously, but
over here
still,
too are
it
able to see
seems
that,
like,
please.
I don't know. Right, Tony? I didn't watch it in real time, support with Steffa, but I have gone back and watched the footage from that time, which I find it's interesting that that article I read last night where DeWine's like, this isn't,
Thank you, Lieutenant.
forget what he was
Lieutenant,
quoted
can
as
you
saying, like,
tell
this
us,
is not some
again, in your
intricate plot or
experience
something like
of,
that, given the fact that
processing,
and that was
over
in May,
300, homicide
given the
scenes,
fact that he was in
um,
those early days talking about the
why did you
cartel.
look in all areas of that bedroom, including under the crib? And I guess specifically I'm asking, is it your experience that shell casings can be ejected in some distance from where the individual's standing when they are firing the weapon, or can be kicked or moved or caught in victim's clothing or other things like of that nature?
Absolutely. You get a general direction for when one of these would be ejected from the firearm. You get a general direction, whether that would be to the right and rear, to the
Okay,
right
Amelia.
and front, to the left and rear. But there are so many factors in a room that has furniture, walls. Casings can bounce off of things. They can be stepped on, they can be kicked, they can be moved. There's a lot of different variables when it comes to finding them.
Okay. Was that the only shell casing that you recovered from that residence?
That's correct.
That's very interesting, you guys. Very. They only recovered one
Put up,
shell
exhibit
casing.
C433, and again, this is the diagram. This was not prepared by you, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. But again, representing the residence.
Tony,
3122
do your thing, Purple Rain.
And it's entitled Ballistic Evidence. And we see 2 green circles there. Can you tell us what those represent?
Those green circles represent any type of ballistic evidence that was recovered from the scene. And that was item number 8, which was the lead fragment that was found on the bed there on Dana.
Excuse me,
When we found it there on Dana's bed.
the viewing
then the
audience can't see
Cartridge
nada.
case that was found underneath the crib. And
I think they picked them up. Yes, Tony, I do. Because obviously a weapon that ejected, see, there are weapons that don't
And
eject the
Lieutenant,
cartridge.
in
Like he just
processing
said,
the scene, and
a
obviously
revolver
you took great care of
doesn't eject the
documenting
cartridge.
how
But
the
obviously
individuals were laying
a
and
weapon that
positioned in
does
their
eject
beds at the
cartridges
time
was
that you found
used
them,
at this particular crime
along
scene.
with
And yet
coverings
there
on
weren't any
them,
that other than the one
um,
that were found, which is interesting.
and examined their bodies. Was there any indication from your examination indicating that any of these individuals attempted to flee their beds at the time that they were shot?
No, there was no evidence. In fact, they were covered with blanket. And I didn't notice any defensive type wounds or anything like that on any of the victims from my scene.
And if some of the individuals for instance, Christopher Roden, you testified earlier, his bedroom was kind of off to the right, and I think you said the far end of that residence, and then the 2 females were closer together there. But does that give you, do you have an opinion regarding that as far as them not having heard the other shots, or that have not woken them up?
I think you have complete opposite ends of the house, so there is some distance there. There's also ways that firearms can be suppressed to not make as much noise. That's an option. Those are some of the things that you're thinking of when you're going through. It didn't appear like any of these victims had gotten up. So were they awake? Were they awakened by the noise? It didn't appear so.
Okay.
There's a third option
And
that he didn't name.
The evidence that we've seen, both in the general evidence, the biological evidence, and the ballistic evidence, represent all of the items that you collected.
So the third option
from the
would
scene
be
that day.
That's correct.
a coordinated effort
And
where
was
you
there
have
also a
3
scan made of
victims
this residence?
and potentially
Yes.
3
And can you talk to
perpetrators
us
who
about
all
what kind of scan that was and how that
converge and
The crime
essentially
scene was
fire
scanned in
simultaneously.
3D
That is
by
another
using a 3D
possibility.
scanner, and it's very similar to the other crime scenes.
Maybe should have
and
mentioned that
how
since
works. The
we're now
only
going to try to
difference
put a
in
gun
this
in
crime
George
scene was,
Washington Wagner the Fourth's
the
hand.
scanner
Just
that
saying.
was used was a Leica scanner versus a Faro scanner.
Might be a good
But
idea.
they were the
I
technicians
probably would
were
have said
able
something
to
like that.
basically stitch all the scans together, so all 4 crime scenes then have were able to be stitched together, so you can see the 3D of each crime scene.
Okay. And was that done prior to, again, manipulating any evidence in the scene prior to putting your placards down and that sort of thing?
That's correct.
Okay. Prior to
That was
doing
not
I
me.
do
That was
want
somebody
to,
else's belly
just
grumbling,
follow
just
up
so
on
you
one
know.
thing on the shell casing that you identified as State's Exhibit C430, which was BCI item number 26, I believe.
Yes.
That was the shell casing
That was
from
the
Hannah.
cartridge case, yes.
Okay, cartridge case from underneath the crib there.
Yes,
You indicated it had a BCI or a lab number as well.
yes. It has a laboratory sticker on the packaging.
Okay. Your Honor, I believe there is also a stipulation as to that item.
All right, please state that.
State's Exhibit C430 is the fired .22 caliber cartridge casing found in Hannah Roden's bedroom. This shell casing is identified as BCI item number 26, lab number 5. This item was sent to the lab for DNA testing. There was insufficient DNA on this item for comparison purposes.
Mr. Parker.
That's correct.
All right.
See, what I'm curious
The
about,
jury
I'm
is
going to have to
instructed
look
accept
this
the
up.
stipulations
Let
as
me
given to
turn
be
this
established as
you
fact
down, Your
as
Honor. I
fully
don't want to
as
be
if it
rude.
had been established.
I'm going to have to look this up. What these results actually
Also,
mean.
Your Honor, I believe we have one final stipulation as to
Because
DNA
hearing
testing,
it,
that of all the items that were submitted and tested from the residents of 3122 Union
Hold
Hill
on.
Road, none of the items contained the DNA profiles of either Edward Jacob Wagner, George Washington Wagner IV, which is the defendant present here in the courtroom, George Washington Wagner III, which is also referred to as Billy Wagner, or Angela Wagner.
That's correct.
All right. With respect to that stipulation, the jury is instructed to accept the stipulation.
Hold on.
To be established as fact.
I missed what she said.
As fully as if it had been established.
I probably should turn it up.
Here in the court.
Hold on.
At this time, Your Honor, I would ask to
Why can't I? Oh, because it's. I'm not going to go back quite that far.
Fact, as if.
0 is the fired .22 caliber.
Hold on, I wanna hear what
cartridge
she
casing
says right
found
here,
in
just a
Hannah
second.
Roden's bedroom. This shell casing is identified as BCI item number 26, lab number 5. This item was sent to the lab for DNA testing. There was insufficient DNA on this item for comparison purposes.
Mr. Parker.
That's correct.
All right. The jury is instructed to accept the stipulation just given to be established as fact as fully as if it had been established through evidence in the courtroom.
And I also, Your Honor, I believe we have one final stipulation as to any DNA testing, that of all the items that were submitted and tested from the residents of 3122 Union Hill Road, none of the items contained the DNA profiles of either Edward Jacob Wagner, George Washington Wagner IV, which is the defendant present here in the courtroom, George Washington Wagner III, which is also referred to as Billy Wagner, or Angela Wagner.
Okay, that's what she said. That's what I thought she said, but I wasn't sure.
All right. With respect to that stipulation, the jury is instructed to accept the stipulation to be established as fact.
Okay.
As if.
Good morning, Cement Shoes. No, we don't have Bojangles down here. If I was in Georgia, we'd have, there's Bojangles, but I don't think we have a
At this time,
Bojangles
Your Honor,
all
I
the way
would
down
ask
here.
To play the scan of this scene marked as State's Exhibit S, as in Sam.
So
3.
I want to do some research
This is a scan.
into
Any
these
objection to
terms
playing the scan?
that the prosecutor is using with respect to DNA testing, because I want to understand if insufficient DNA found to make a comparison is synonymous with no DNA found. Do you see what I mean? So was there some DNA found, but not enough for comparison, or was there no DNA found? So I feel like it's the first thing that I said, that it's just too small amount of a DNA that was left, that there was DNA, but it was too small of an amount for comparison. But I just want to confirm that so that I understand correctly. And there was one other thing. Oh, it wasn't my tummy that was growling. It's somebody in that courtroom, either the witness or the prosecutor. Because my tummy is good. I'm not even hungry yet. I don't usually get hungry until like 1 in the afternoon. I am not a breakfast eater. I haven't been for a long, long time. Probably not. Probably since. Jeez. I don't know, ever. Well, no, I mean, when I was like 15, 16, 17 maybe, but not much after that. I'm not hungry when I first wake up. It takes my body a while to be like, ma'am, we need to eat. Oh, okay. I don't know why I got so defensive. That wasn't my belly. Bless this family. Look at them. It's so sad they have to watch this. I have to be honest with you guys. I don't know if I were in their position, if I would be able to watch and look at any of this stuff. I feel like on the one hand, maybe it provides a measure of closure, knowing. Do you know what I mean? And I am one of those kind of people, like I need to know so I can move forward.
It was a Leica
I just don't know.
3D scanner.
I just feel awful. Just awful for them. Awful.
And again, does that fairly and accurately depict the scene at 3122 Union Hill Road that you found, as you found it that day?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And before
I sure did
anything
get
was
defensive,
moved
though,
or
over your
the evidence collected took place.
That's
Lord.
correct.
Bless it, Jen Lou. Bless
Lieutenant,
it.
did you also, those vehicles that you had photographed earlier that were in the driveway there at 3122 Union Hill Road, did you also look through those?
Yes, I did.
Okay. C359, which is 8001.
That's a photograph of the Jeep that was in the driveway there in front of the red barn, the residence there at 3122 Union Hill. That's just with the driver's door open, taking an overview from outside to inside on the vehicle.
Okay. And State's Exhibit 360, 8002.
Again, that's the same Jeep and through the driver's compartment. And that's just a mid-range shot showing the console area and the driver's seat.
Okay. And
No, I
C361,
think
which
I
is
got defensive,
8003.
Tony. Like it came out like a little harsh. That
Again,
wasn't my
that's
belly.
from the driver's side around the driver's seat area. And that's a photograph just showing the passenger compartment, front passenger compartment of the car.
Okay. And what appears to be perhaps a purse on the
And then what-
passengers.
In a purse, yeah, that's on the passenger seat.
Okay.
Wow.
C366 8008.
See, y'all hear it then?
Can you tell us what that is?
That is the driver's side with the door open.
Oh,
of
Jennifer,
the
I'm
silver
so
vehicle
sorry.
That's sitting in front of the barn, the red barn there in the driveway.
I'm sorry that you had to see that, and I'm sorry that
800.
happened. I'm sorry for your loss.
367, which is 8009.
I don't know why we do
Again,
that
that's
as
from the driver's
humans,
side.
Tony. It's all,
photograph
you know,
from the
it's natural.
driver's compartment to the passenger compartment of the front seat of the silver vehicle.
What's your girl over here acting like Shaggy? It wasn't me.
368, which is 8010.
I heard your belly grumble. It wasn't me.
That's a mid-range
Hey,
photograph
faraway
showing the
eyes.
passenger seat, the bag that's on the passenger seat, and the photograph's taken from the driver's side of the car.
I have to say that I'm impressed with
And
the immaculate
C377,
condition of
which
the
is
inside of these
8019.
vehicles. That's how I like to keep my car. That's how I was raised. My dad raised me that a vehicle is to transport human beings, not your crap.
That's a photograph from the passenger side of the vehicle with the passenger door open, and that's showing the bag and the plastic bag that's on the passenger side floorboard.
Okay. And C379, which is 8022.
I hope it wasn't
That
one of the
bag
jurors,
was opened, that was on
since
the
they're
passenger side
responsible
of the
for
silver vehicle.
providing their own lunch every
and
day.
There was a wallet that was found inside that bag and a driver's license. This, I believe, was to Dana Roden, and this photograph's just showing that that wallet came from that bag and that there was a driver's license in it.
Okay. And C378, which is 8021.
And that's a close-up photograph of the driver's license that was in the wallet that was found in the bag on the passenger side of the silver vehicle. And that's the driver's license of Dana Roden.
Yeah, my dad had definite.
And C380, which is 8023.
There were some lines in the sand for my dad that he had not a lot of them,
That's just
but
a
the ones he
documentation
had,
photograph to
there was
show
no
that there
changing his
was
mind.
money in the wallet as
And he
well,
would say
and that wallet
to me,
came from that black bag.
and my sister, a vehicle is a depreciating asset. Why are you trying to help it depreciate faster?
And was any of this
and
collected
more.
as evidence, or you were just documenting?
So he just
the
raised us that
interior of that vehicle and
you
the,
take your body,
belongings?
yourself,
This
and your
was just for
passengers,
documentation
and you
purposes,
have,
just to
like,
show that we did go
your
through the
car
vehicle.
jack, your tire gauge,
no
all the
evidence was
like
collected from the
necessary
vehicle.
items to your vehicle, but not like if you go and get fast food and you eat in your car, when you get out of your car, you take your trash with you.
And Lieutenant, did you also, do you?
He wasn't.
Prepare reports whenever
He
you
wasn't.
process a crime scene, just documenting your findings?
Like, my
and
dad was
making
tough on
various
us, but
notations,
it made us
including,
tough, and
list of
we
evidence
took
that was
away a lot of,
collected and
he
their
gave a lot of
response.
good advice too.
Yes,
You
I
know what
did.
I'm saying? Like, he made us
And then
good.
does that also contain some
Decent
photographs
people.
of the various locations that you searched, or were individuals?
He taught us, we definitely
does.
had home training. He taught us how to
And
act
is that
right.
something
That's
you
for
would
sure.
do for any crime scene that you processed?
Every crime scene that we process, we do a report on.
I'm good till about 11 o'clock, which is in roughly 9 minutes from now to stream. That'll put me just a little over 2 hours, which makes it easier for people to watch during the replay, because it's hard when you have like a super duper long live for people to go through the replay.
Lieutenant, handing you what's been.
I'm
marked as
fortunate
Exhibit
in that,
C. It's a 8-page document that has been stapled together.
my
If
husband
you could just look at that
is-
and tell us
I
if you
guess
recognize that.
it is true what they say that girls, marry their dads. And in a lot of ways, my husband is, in the best ways, in my opinion, the complete opposite of my dad. But at the same time, as far as like some core values and stuff that my dad raised us with, my husband is like my dad in those ways. I think I
Yes,
got
that's the
really
report,
lucky,
a copy of the report that I prepared.
especially given the fact
And
that we were
processing
so
crimes.
young. I mean, 18, I was 18 and he was 21 when we met. That's young, and your picker isn't all that great at that age. I'm just saying, I think both of us, I think it was fate and luck, to be quite honest with you. But I wouldn't have it any other way.
Lieutenant, did you also collect, well, let me just ask you, that is the copy of the report that you prepared?
That is correct.
Okay. And did you also collect?
He's my
an
one of my
item
favorite
from
humans.
Sheriff Evans at that scene?
Yes, I did.
And let me let
And
you
can
know
tell
that
us
list
what
is
that
short.
item was?
That was Sheriff Evans had went, I believe, to the hospital and collected a diaper from one of the infants that was transported to the hospital. And when he returned back, I took custody of that from him.
Okay, so you recovered a diaper from the infant that was reported to have been located in 3122 Union Hill Road.
That's correct.
Okay. And did you also mark that and maintain it in similar fashion as to the other items?
You know what's
Yes, I do.
sad? And what you know what is extra sad about
Your
that?
Honor, we will, that is in our evidence room, so we'll have to retrieve that and provide that to him after after a break.
This baby had only been alive and on this earth and part of this world
Lieutenant, does that represent the sum
for
of
less
what
than a
you
week.
did at 3122 Union Hill Road on April?
And to have this
22nd,
happen to her mama.
Yes, it
So
does.
sad. This whole thing is just so
Do you know what time,
tragic. I just can't move
your-
past it. And usually I can, but
I don't know an exact time.
I mean, I
know
can't,
it was
I
dark,
can acknowledge
and I
it
know it was
once,
late.
but every time some new detail comes
don't
out,
know
it just
exact
makes
time.
it worse.
Lieutenant, did you also do, well, I guess, is it fair to say that you did a lot of work regarding this case after processing the scene at 3122 Union Hill Road?
Yes, I was tasked with just about any type of follow-up from crime scene that needed done regarding this case. Went pretty much through me, and if I wasn't available, then somebody else would fill in. But I
You know what, Tony?
was the
Nobody
primary
is a
go-to
10. We
when
all
it
have
came to
our
crime
flaws.
scene-related issues with this case.
And you know,
Okay.
so
Specifically on April 22nd of 2016.
I bet he is a good soul.
did
I
you go
totally believe
into
you because
any
you're a
other
good
crime
soul.
scenes that day?
No, I
And
did
you know,
not.
like attracts like, they say.
And other than yourself, and I believe you said Special Agent Perry Roser was assigned to assist you.
Frankly,
Did
I'm
any
a
other
mess,
crime
and
scene
I'm pretty
agents come
sure the
into your
fates
crime
No,
scene?
they
sent
did
my
not.
husband to me to straighten me out, to help me along. And I
You
think the
indicated
fates
that you
knew.
were kind of the primary
let me turn this
go-to.
down.
There were search warrants or other things of that nature.
I think
That is
I think the fates knew that
and Can you
my
tell
husband
us,
was the
first
only
of
one
all,
who
are
was
you
going to be able to
aware
deal
of,
with my particular brand.
first
And
of all, were there scenes
they
in any
said,
of the
let's
scenes that
just
toured
get this
for
out of the way.
a
Let's
number of
not
days and even
cause
weeks,
her to be
after
with
you
other
guys
people,
processed
too
the
many
scene?
other people, and wreck them.
Yes,
Right.
they were secured by
Drive them crazy. Let's just nip this
uniformed
right in the
law
bud.
enforcement from various jurisdictions. Is not uncommon to, after the initial search or evidence collection from a scene, to go back the next day or even a couple of days later and go through it again, just to make sure that nothing was missed. And the urgency for the situation has kind of subsided at that point, that we've gotten the major evidence that we need to get, documentation very quickly. Then we can kind of just go through again and just double check our work, basically.
So if there was anything you overlooked or anything you needed to follow up on, the scene would still be secure and
Oh,
you could
I
re-enter
love
and
that.
collect any additional items that you might have learned their importance at that point.
That is correct.
And I love your son's name.
And you said those were maintained by officers of various jurisdictions. Tell us about that.
Obviously, there were 4 crime scenes to secure, and that would mean they need to be guarded 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it took extra resources from surrounding jurisdictions to chip
Oh,
in
thank you,
and help
Tony.
with
I try.
maintaining the integrity of
But I'm a
those scenes.
mess. I know it.
And in this case, were the actual residents themselves ultimately removed from the locations they were found and stored and secured in a
Nonstop,
separate,
Mom. Here's your
location.
part. This is what we talked about yesterday, babe.
Yes.
Hope you're
the
around.
Decision was made to remove the trailers, the houses, and secure them for long-term storage. And they were secured at a warehouse here in Pike County.
Okay. And again, can you tell us, was that basically for the same reason? So that if anything, new information developed and you needed to go back to those scenes, that you would be able to do that?
Yes, the only difference being that we would have to get additional paperwork. Basically, they weren't being, a uniformed officer was not stationed with them once they were removed. So
We
if
know.
we wanted to re-enter them, we would have to get new search warrants. So that would be the only difference. But yes, it was to maintain for long-term.
And so anytime you wanted to re-enter those locations, you would have to get a new search warrant?
That's correct.
Okay. The first set of search warrants that you got on April 22nd.
Oh, that's
2016,
interesting. I didn't know
gave you
that.
permission to enter each of those individual scenes.
Yes.
And that kind of remains open for, until such time as the security.
Ooh, I
issue
bet it
is
looks
That is correct.
gorgeous, Amelia.
So it's contemplated in the search warrant itself that it might take more than one day to
Yes.
process that. Okay.
That's correct.
Specifically, just focusing your attention now, you may have to talk about other things later on, but for now, were you asked to go back and conduct a further search of the residence that Frankie and Hannah Hazel were found in, which was also there on Union Hill Road?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And can you tell us if one of the things that you were asked to look at was to determine the position of the back door? Okay, so the back door of that residence, were you asked to look at the locking mechanism to determine in which position it would be open or versus locked?
I was asked to look at, I was asked to document a lock, a bolt lock on the trailer of Frankie and was found in, and Hannah were found in.
Okay. State's Exhibit T1.
It is
1929.
potentially problematic, Jennifer. It is. It is potentially
So
problematic.
That is
Absolutely.
a photograph of the, I believe it's the front door. Or is it the rear door?
The rear door.
The rear door.
And I'm sorry, I could have shown you more. Yeah, or no, well.
I have to say that one of the things I am a little bit surprised to learn is that even after, this is what I took from what his response to her question was. Maybe I'm getting it wrong, but it sounds to me like even after they moved, transported, and held the individual trailers and camper at that warehouse facility, that it didn't mean that they had unfettered access. Law enforcement didn't have unfettered access to those homes, that if they needed to go back and enter those homes, they had to get another search warrant, which I think is
Okay.
interesting
So.
and good. I'm concerned about the lack of security, though. I'm not going to
And
play.
again, this is a picture that you took,
Yes,
and it appears to be the rear of the
it
residence.
is the
correct?
rear. Yes.
Okay.
We have an exhibit number.
I'm sorry, T2.
Thank you.
Let me see what they're about to establish with this bit of testimony and questioning where this goes, and then we'll
And
break
there's
for the
crime
day.
scene tape across the back of that door at that time. Is this after the residences themselves have been moved?
That's correct. Had already been removed from the original property and taken to the facility for storage.
Okay. And then I'm going to go back to T1. You know the number? Yep. 1979. Okay. And then are you documenting their, again, the position of that door, of the, I don't know what you call it.
The locking mechanism?
Yes.
Yes.
The position of the locking mechanism. And can you tell us if that is in the open position? Or unlocked position?
Yes, I'm documenting the brass colored locking mechanism that you see on top on this photograph, and that is in the unlocked position.
Okay. And then just going to show you State's Exhibit B100 from search that Special Agent Fortner did. And again, does that appear to be in that same unlocked position?
That is correct.
Okay. And then, Lieutenant, were you also asked again at some point at a later date to go and swab the window, one of the windows of Frankie Roden's residence?
Yes, I was.
Okay, this part I understand about the window.
Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit B131. And again, this is from, these are photographs that Agent Fortner took when he first processed that. Okay. Do you recognize that location?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And what do you recognize it as?
That was, as we're looking at this photograph, that window goes to the rear of the residence. And that was the window that I was asked to take a blind swab of.
So the reason and purpose for this blind swab, I believe, is because at some point
And did you in fact take a blind swab of that?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Jake Wagner said that
And
he
were you
entered
also
through an
asked
open
to,
window.
retrieve some electronic devices from that location, phones and such?
At a later time, yes, we were asked to go back into that trailer and we removed electronics. We had several, I'm going to say 4 or 5 cell phones that we got out of there. Older cell phones. Some of them were broken, screens were cracked, that sort of thing. But that was at a later time, yes.
A when later time. We need
And you indicated they were older and some of the screens were cracked. Were those even evaluated or examined to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, no, they were never examined.
Because of the condition that they were in?
That's correct.
Okay. Lieutenant, during your processing of these scenes, did you ever find any evidence of marijuana grows at this location, at the 3122 Union Hill Road?
There was no evidence of any marijuana grow at 3122 Union Hill Road.
Okay. And in fact, did you find any evidence of illegal drug use at that location?
No, we found nothing that would indicate that at 3122 Union Hill Road.
And did you, in fact, at one point or another, again, not on April 22nd of 2016, but at the later dates when you were asked to go into various residences for further information, did you, in fact, at one point or another enter each of those crime scenes?
I did, yes. Not the night of the initial call, but later on, I went into each crime scene.
Okay. And do you have an opinion or what were your observations as far as this scene or this residence in comparison to the other residences that you entered in terms of clutter or cleanliness, etc.
Objection. We have a time frame.
Thank you.
Well, on April 22nd of 2016, the other residences were not changed as far as nobody cleaned them up or removed any clutter.
Judge, wait.
Yes.
Oh, sweet Jesus. They finna argue. Okay. So I'm not 100% sure why the the special agent is being questioned about, or what was the, I don't know, no, not the questioning. Obviously the questioning makes sense. I'm not exactly sure why this agent was asked to go to Frankie and Hannah Hazel's residence to look at that lock, but I believe, okay, Tony, I'll look at it, babe. I will. I believe that there was at some point.
I would suggest that we take a break so that I can recover the one item that I mentioned that is in the property room.
Okay,
Um,
all right, we're going to take a break, and so am I. So I'm just going to stop sharing. All right, so let me get out of here. Early on in the investigation, okay, and I can't off the top of my head remember specifically or exactly when this date was, okay, or how early on it was. I just remember reading this, that there was a bit of a kerfuffle, as it were, about Bobby Joe Manley, which is Dana Roden's sister, right? And how she gained entry to Frankie and Hannah Hazel's place. Okay, because remember, the front door had the chain lock and all of that, and I think that is what there was, like a kerfuffle over whether she touched the lock with her sweatshirt, whether it was even possible for her to have from the outside of the door to be able to undo the chain lock, because usually a chain lock, the way it works is it requires the door to be shut for that to happen. But obviously look, MacGyver exists for a reason. I mean, not that everything MacGyver did was like scientifically accurate or probable or possible, but you see what I'm saying. There are, if you have a need to get into a home, and to me, a 3-year-old answering the door in under any circumstances would mean there is a need for me to get into that home, particularly after I had just found his grandfather and uncle unalived. Great uncle, I guess it would be for the baby. But anyway, bottom line is, I think that is what that testimony we just heard about him going back and photographing and whatnot, the lock. I think that's what that's about, but I'm not like 100% sure, because I have to say sometimes I have a hard time with the prosecutor connecting the dots. But I also take into consideration the way that she is presenting this case is going through each crime scene, first the BCI, then the forensic pathologist, and she's doing it that way. And I think there's going to be more testimony tied in, and it'll all make sense at one point. But for me right now, I'm a little confuzzled, which would be, if I were a juror, I definitely would be taking notes. So, yeah. And I do think that the defense in the end there raising that objection and wanting to know, be more specific about this time frame, what you're talking, like how long, when did you go back, like those things are important. And I here's why it's going to be important. Okay, this is what I suspect the point of the how this is going to play in later with the defense. So we've talked about it quite a bit, but after the physical trailers were moved to the warehouse, okay, and the reason being was a couple of reasons. One, um, it was expensive financially for the sheriff's department to be posted out in front of the crime scenes themselves, each individual home themselves. There was a barrier on Union and Union Hill Road, and that was monitored at different at points by law enforcement, not letting anybody in, right? And so in an effort to um, save money and resources, they ended up moving the trailers and storing them at this warehouse. And subsequently, it was a concern, right? You want to know that if they've moved these trailers to a location, that location is secure, because the purpose and intent for moving them is to keep them secure without having to have an actual officer, a human being out there making sure that it's secure, right? Because it's, like a 30-acre property, for Pete's sake. It's a lot. So there were follow-ups, and evidently local news went out there and showed that they weren't any more secure, really, at this warehouse, because the warehouse itself wasn't secured. There was no security personnel, there weren't cameras, and it's all problematic. And so I think the reason that the defense objected is because at some point the defense is going to bring up this exact thing that I'm talking about. This is going to be an issue. They're going to bring it up. They have to bring it up. And because the fact of the matter is, the defense's job, their sole purpose and intent, right, is to discredit the prosecution. The prosecutor's burden is much, much higher. It's the highest. The way that the courts work, right, our system, is that you're innocent until proven guilty. So the burden of proof is on the prosecutor, right? That's how it's supposed to work. Does it always? Not always. It's not a perfect system, but it is the system we have. And I support our justice system. I do. I think we need to make some improvements. But come on, I mean, what system doesn't have a need for improvements after a while? It just is what it is. So I think this is going to come up at a later date, when the defense gets to put on their case in chief, and depending on what they present, it could cause. See, their job is to raise reasonable doubt, and depending on what they put up and how compelling it is possible that it could present reasonable doubt. So these are all things that the state is thinking of when they're putting their case in chief. And then obviously after they rest their case in chief and the defense begins, and then once the defense rests their case in chief, the state gets a rebuttal. So hopefully, if there was any reasonable doubt raised because of the situation respective to the warehouses, the state can do a little bit of damage control. I hope that it's good. I hope it's not necessary, but if it is, I hope they succeed. So that being said, I want to thank everybody for being here. I appreciate it. You guys are incredibly supportive, and I'm so grateful for your support. I appreciate it tremendously. I would like to remind you all that tonight, Dr. B and I will be doing our weekly Friday roast. Tonight we are doing the phone call between Lori Vallow and Melanie Gibb. And we have a special guest. So keep your eyes out for the thumbnail and the and set your notifications to all. I usually upload and schedule the stream around like 6:50 or so, between 6:30 and 7, because StreamYard likes to have a 2-hour window to coordinate with the YouTubes and whatnot. So that's what we're doing tonight. A little bit of levity. Need it. It's been a perfect, Tony. You're welcome, Jennifer. Thank you for being here. We need a little levity at the end of the week after some of this hard testimony. It's rough. So it's like a little break. All right. So I will see you guys tonight. Have a great rest of your Friday morning, afternoon, evening. And I'll see y'all tonight. Stay safe out here in the real streets and on these YouTube streets, because y'all know we'll be getting dicey. All right. Y'all have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you tonight. All right. Bye.